What is up, my beautiful people? Hope you're all having a fantastic day. Exile451 here with yet another daily dose of Reddit Happy. Enjoy your Friday, everyone. We're about to get into the weekend. Let's start it off right. Got a new sub today that I'm going into r/financial independence because I came across a thread with a bunch of stories that I know are going to resonate with you. Like usual with this particular format, there won't be any commentary until the end. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. So the question for the thread was, can you share your success story of starting over from scratch? Not my story, but my parents. They grew up poor in China, went to university, and got fairly nice, comfortable desk jobs and a government-assigned house before everything became privatized. They left China for Australia in their 40s since they didn't appreciate the direction society was headed, and also significant environmental concerns, air quality, pollution, etc. When they got to Australia in the early 2000s, they were down to 3 digits in their savings, and they were working as fruit pickers on a farm. We were sleeping on $30 foam mattresses on the floor for the first few months. They went to university and learned English after hours, and that went on for about 2 years. Then, after getting an Australian degree, Dad got an entry-level desk job at a small country town, earning $40,000 a year, and Mom started a small store at the local markets. They went from small markets to larger markets, to having their own small shop in a local shopping center, to having a shop in a larger shopping center. Then they sold that to fund a new business venture and reached financial independence probably 3 years ago. I don't think they're interested in retiring early, or even at all. All in all, zero in assets and income to financial independence in around 14 years while raising 2 kids. They are still extremely frugal, although they've decided they'd start traveling more. Don't feel down. Plenty of people, including myself, start at zero at mid-20s. And I don't think I'll reach positive net worth for another year or two given student debt. If you had 6 figures when you're 25, you're way ahead of me. I started from scratch at the end of 2015. I escaped my country, Cuba, to South America where I was almost homeless, spent 15 days with no food at all, and dropped from 190 pounds to 105. Was devastated psychologically. Took a job and the first month had to walk over 10 miles without eating. In 3 months, I'd made enough money to come to the US, crossing borders from Ecuador to the States by my feet. Almost died, had guns on my head, people stole my money, and passed hunger for 21 days. Arrived here only with the clothes I had on and not a single word of English. Got my refugee status and studied the language day and night. Got a software engineering job and making approximately $150,000 now, and have a wonderful wife and a daughter that is my life. It's the first time I've talked about this somewhere, but I hope it can help somebody to see that things can be really bad, but there is always a solution, unless you're dead. Always fight for you and love yourself and others, and life will be good. Be humble and remember where you came from when things get better, is my advice. I lived a sheltered and idyllic life through high school. 4.0 GPA, all the extracurriculars, Eagle Scout, nearly perfect SAT scores, got accepted to an Ivy caliber school. Life went to crap in a couple years. My father was diagnosed with an aggressive cancer and quickly passed. 3 grandparents died within 18 months. Mom got very depressed, sister became distant, girlfriend broke up with me. Family basically no longer functioned. I developed a drinking problem. Not sure I'd classify it as alcoholic, but I lost all interest in school and just started going out to parties and concerts. Stopped showing up to classes. Definitely depressed, and that's how I dealt with it. Lots of risky behaviors. Never suicidal, but I thought nothing of doing incredibly risky things. Hopping on railway cars with no real plans, ending up in strange cities, and hitchhiking around. Of course, I was kicked out of school. Moved back east to be with Mom. Completely directionless with no job and no degree. Decided to get a job bagging groceries for minimum wage. It sucked. Something eventually clicked and I decided to sign up for classes at community college. Aced them all and was feeling really positive for the first time in a long time. A year later, I transferred to a state school, finished up a BS, got accepted to an MS program, got a job, got a second MS, and now have a much better job. Well, My story is somewhat tough. I had the best job at the age of 22, making good money, my own place, new car, and everything we always wanted, we got. 4 years later, right before we finally cleaned our credit to buy a house, the company decides to move the jobs to Mexico to save more money from the billions they were already making a year. Went into shock. Savings started being used, car was repoed because no other company would hire you at the pay I was making, relationships started falling apart, though I kept it together. Bills started piling up, credit score went down, loans came about. A total of 3 years we were in a tough situation, and I just kept pushing, positive. It will be all right, even though I knew it wasn't. We went homeless for 2 years, so we lived at family members' houses. That is tough with 3 kids and my wife in one room. Then, one day, after praying and talking to God, I finally got a hit after 3 long, hard years. All I can say is patience and hard work is what it is all about. If you give up, you have failed. Never allow yourself to fail. I never will let my family down, ever. Best of luck, everyone. We now have our own place, a nice frugal vehicle, living and saving and enjoying life. Had a solid job as a paralegal after graduating college, but I wanted to start my own business. I had about a year's worth of expenses saved, and my brand new wife was working part-time to supplement the savings. Launched the business and did okay, but not nearly well enough to even begin to live off of. After a year, I shuttered it and worked several minimum wage jobs to make ends meet, and barely did that. Got very depressed and almost lost my marriage and most of my friendships. After a year, an opportunity to intern at a data center opened up, so I reapplied to community college and then applied for the job. Landed it, and over the last 5 years, I've grown from a know-nothing intern to a budding leader in my industry. Also grew my income from barely minimum wage to 6 figures, with significant opportunity to grow that number over the next 5 years. I'm investing a large chunk of my income. I'm debt-free, and I'm about to buy my first house. My marriage is going well, and I love the work I do. It was, and still is, a lot of work. I've had encouragement and help from friends along the way and had to humble myself over and over and over again. But 5 years ago, I assumed my future was a little more than a frustrating marriage and minimum wage jobs until I died. I figured the crushing depression would be my only meaningful legacy in life. That's clearly not the case. Life is always changing. Things are working out for me now, but who knows what the future holds? All we can really do is keep trying, keep moving forward from wherever we find ourselves today. In my experience, those who do so consistently tend to find themselves winning bigger and more often than they lose. So, I had nothing saved at 32, at all. I spent about a decade after high school bouncing from crappy job to crappy job that did nothing but caused my emergency fund to become an emergency credit card, which then became just straight carry debt. It was bad. I went back to school, which was both a good and bad decision. At 32, I got the first job that I could even consider thinking about retirement. I'm 33 now, still mildly in debt, mostly student loans, but have a healthy emergency fund and a slowly growing employer-matched 401k. I'm still not up to worthless, but I'm making my way there. Even planning for kids, a wedding, etc. I expect to be able to retire at least by the age of 55, if not sooner. Don't worry about starting over. Plenty of time left in life. You might have to adjust your plans a little, but you shouldn't get too discouraged. Well, right there, you can see that there are so many stories of starting over from nothing and being able to work yourself up into enormous success. It doesn't matter when you do it. You can always redefine yourself. You can always reboot and start anew if you're willing to take the risks that come with it. Not everyone's going to be asked to flee from communist Cuba. Not everyone's going to have to live homeless for years in order to just make ends meet until they can find a new job. But everyone is going to have a struggle when they do this. However, that struggle will be worth it. If you're thinking about starting over, just know that it is possible. There is never a cap on what you can do with your life. Thank you all so much for watching the video today, for coming to the channel, for supporting it like you guys have been. I am so appreciative and I cannot express that enough. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to hit that like button and subscribe so you can get more of your daily dose of Reddit Happy. Now you guys go out there, have a great weekend. I will see you all on Monday. Until then, I'm Exile451. Stay beautiful, people.